Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I got a really fun video for you guys. Well, I don't know if fun is the right word, but definitely a very interesting video from what I've seen so far. So I was scrolling through YouTube and I came across this video by a channel. The name is James Klug, and he posted this video entitled Portland State University Children Cannot Consent to Puberty Blockers Episode 1. Now I already knew this is probably going to be a very interesting video because Portland, Oregon is a very, very liberal city. Oregon as a state is very liberal, but Portland on its own is also extremely liberal. And of course, Portland University is no exception. So I did start watching the beginning of the video, and then I was like, you know what? Let me stop here and let me react to this on my channel because this is really good stuff. It's an important conversation, and I think it's so important for us to be able to engage and have these types of conversations because we live in a time now where I find oftentimes the left wants to silence anybody that does not agree with their perspective. And when you try to have a rational conversation, the moment you start bringing up stats and actual facts, the left goes crazy. They get emotional, they get mad, and the conversation gets ended. So I like the fact that this particular video is forcing people on the left to have the conversation by literally standing outside of the university with a sign that says children cannot consent to puberty blockers. So without further ado, let's react to this video together, analyze it, discuss it, and be entertained.
What's going on, everyone? James Klug here. Today I'm at Portland State University and I'm with the amazing billboard Chris and philosopher Peter Boghossian. We're going to be talking to people today about how children cannot consent to puberty blockers. Gentlemen, are you ready to get going?
I'm ready. I'm excited. Everyone has told me I'm crazy for coming here, that I might get myself killed. But I don't know. I've done this a lot. I just have conversations. I don't expect it to get too crazy, but we got security here today to protect us, and I'm looking forward to a good day of conversations.
Absolutely. Peter, what about you?
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to some conversations, and I hope people come with sincere, who want to know why Chris believes this, and I'd like to have that conversation about whether or not children can consent to puberty blockers. And I'm also willing, as I think you are, to listen to any evidence somebody presents or any argument someone presents.
Always, because that's how we learn.
Absolutely.
And we shouldn't have so much pride that we can't admit to being wrong. But so far, no one can even tell me what a transgender child is, so.
Well, we're going to have some great conversations today.
So right off the bat, I am loving the intro. I'm loving the theme. I'm loving the energy because these men, I don't feel are going to Oregon to troll these people. I think they really want to have a conversation. And sometimes you gotta wear a crazy outfit to say, hey, here I am, just to get people to come to you so you can have a conversation. Because oftentimes people do not want to have these uncomfortable conversations, and 9 times out of 10, it's because they don't want to be challenged.
What do you think about this sign? What are your thoughts about this? Do you agree with it at all, or what are your thoughts on this?
I think that kids don't have like the neurological development to be able to make a life-altering decision that will affect them like years down the line.
Yeah, we'll give you
So
enough room.
I for sure see both sides of the argument because there are just overwhelming numbers of kids who do feel stuck.
I don't know. I think that like at a very young age, kids aren't certain of where they're at. You know, it's such a time where you're trying to figure out who you are.
I'm more well versed in like testosterone replacement therapy and whatnot. I'm not so sure on like the estrogen and what that can do, but those things are like crucial when children develop. Just the fact that kids can get that nowadays, it's mind blowing. You know,
They feel like they don't, the body that they're in doesn't match who they are, right? And then you have parents who are seeing a lot of kids in that situation commit suicide or have mental health issues, and they're like, I want to be there for my kid. If this is what they feel like is going to help them, if this is what they feel like is going to help them be more conducive in society, then like, let's take those steps. But at the same time, I do think that taking those steps at 7, 8, 9 is crazy, crazy, crazy young for anything.
So let me ask you a question before the conversation continues, if I may. So what year are you in and what's your major?
I am a senior. This is my last term.
Oh, it's your last
actually,
term.
here. Yeah, and business major.
Okay,
Data
so you
analytics.
probably don't have an opportunity to talk about a lot of these issues.
Within like a class setting or just
either
like,
one.
Yeah, not really.
You ever
Yeah.
express those views on campus?
so I used to work here actually, and sometimes I would talk about my opinions and whatnot, and I was let go. You know, I believed in free speech and whatnot, and I would talk about my views on fat acceptance and whatnot, and how I think that could be destructive to one's health to be accepting of a, you know, an unhealthy state of body. I would have like conversations and whatnot, and eventually that I built like a reputation against me in a place that kind of has an agenda.
I just want to pause for a quick second. So I'm loving the conversation so far. I like the guy with the black curly hair a lot because he seems like somebody who is just trying to have the conversation. And it's very clear that he has been targeted, unfortunately, at his university. Like he said, he used to work at the university, and because he had specific views that weren't of the left-wing mentality, he was let go. And without saying it, he made it very clear that there isn't really room to have a conversation on liberal campuses like this. They have an agenda, like he said, and if you don't fit that agenda, out you go. It's just sad, you know, because these kids, and I call them kids, they're not kids, but you know what I mean. They're in their 20s, they're kids. They don't really have the opportunity to have real dialogue. The only dialogue allowed is dialogue that agrees and is in lockstep with liberal gender ideology, cult mentality.
Can I address a couple things?
Sure.
One of the first things you said there was for these children who feel mismatched.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? What does that mean?
I can't say for certain. I can say what I think it means.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Yeah, what do you think?
What I think it means is a kid, or let's say a girl, biological girl, really loves to do typical masculine things. Typical, right?
Like
She
play
likes
with
to
trucks or
wrestle,
something.
play with trucks. She likes to wear boys' clothes. She doesn't want to brush her hair. She keeps a dirty room. She likes watching wrestling, right? Typical boy stuff like that. And, you know, she might go to a school where they encourage her to do the girl type of things, like, oh, no, the boys will clean up the chairs, or the boys will put the toys back in the box or stuff. And she's like, well, I want to do that. I can do that. And then maybe she feels that way for so long where she's like, well, if this is what it means to be a boy, I feel better doing this way.
Okay,
That maybe that's what that means.
Mind blown. Mind blown right now, because what she just described is a tomboy. That's it. A biological girl that has more masculine traits. She doesn't like dolls. She's not interested in wearing dresses. She doesn't want to play with the Susie bake oven. She wants to play outside with her brothers. She wants to play basketball. She wants to wrestle. See, back in the day, back in the good old days, girls were allowed to be tomboys, and it wasn't an issue. It was accepted. Oh, you want to play basketball instead of go to dance class? Okay, have at it. Have fun. Like when I grew up, there were so many tomboys in my neighborhood. I remember. So many. And guess what? They grew up to be productive females. They weren't confused about their identity because they were allowed to just be children. They didn't have a stamp put on them that said, oh, you're masculine? You must be a boy. Let's put you on HRT right away. And that's the world that we live in now, where this is the funny part about it as well. The left hates labels so much that they end up labeling everything. Isn't that funny? They hate putting people in certain boxes, but then yet they put people in certain boxes. So now if you are a tomboy, now if you are a female that has masculine traits, they immediately put you in the trans category. You probably are somebody who is not normal, and so we need to put you in a different box to make you feel normal. As opposed to just letting the little girl live life. Just let her be, or let him be. Like, why do we have to put kids in certain categories and then put all of this gender pressure on them that they can't even understand or comprehend? Something tells me that tomboys still exist. Only in today's world, if you're a tomboy, you immediately are pushed towards the trans side of things, which is interesting too, because if you look at the studies and the statistics, females are more susceptible to being transgendered and to being affected by gender dysphoria. Way more than boys. I think it's 1 out of 30,000 females are going to have gender dysphoria or some form of gender dysphoria. And for boys, it's 1 out of 100,000. So clearly this is affecting females more. And I think there definitely is a correlation with what she's saying when she's talking about what used to be a tomboy, and the way she's describing it is, oh, that must be the kid is trans. It's like, no, the kid's not trans. The kid is just a tomboy. She wants to play basketball. She doesn't need a penis to do that.
You're right. This is what this whole ideology really hinges on. But these are stereotypes. These are regressive stereotypes. And I'm a bit older than you. I'm 47. When I grew up, we kind of got away from all these sexist, regressive stereotypes, and our girls could be tomboys, and we told them they can be whatever they want to be when they grow up. And we got away from all this. And now it seems to have come full circle, where we're telling kids that just because they don't conform to society's standards of the stereotypical behaviors for their sex, that this must mean they're trans and they need to alter their body.
Did you have anything specific you wanted to throw out about it?
So what's going on here?
What's happening here?
Oh, I'm just taking a drink of water.
Oh, I see. So this is standard tactic. People just come and get in my face in order to stop conversation because
We're having a
fascists like yourself think that conversations are evil, right?
It was going so well. It was going so well. I was about to say, wow, this conversation is going really well. They're being cordial with each other. They're having a real conversation. They're having real dialogue. He's challenging her, but in a very respectful manner, making her think. And then here comes the liberal, wokey lefty. Now, this person hasn't even said 2 words, and I already know just by their demeanor that they probably are trans, and they probably are going to be extremely aggressive and hostile. Let's keep watching.
Don't touch me. Do not touch me.
So why are you so afraid of people
You
having
first
a
of all, you just
conversation?
touched me.
No, you touched me with that mic.
No, you touched my mic.
I was just-
You literally came up here.
You were behind me.
Do you mind
It's
getting
on
out of the way of our
We're having a
conversation?
conversation here.
I do mind getting out of the way of your
So
conversation.
why are you afraid
I
of conversation,
I
though?
don't give a about your conversation.
Okay, if you don't want to be touched by the mic, how about you not stand 2 inches away from the guy with the mic? How about you back up?
Why are you so afraid of people having one?
I'm not afraid.
Then why are you trying,
Why are you trying to stop
one?
it?
I'm not trying to stop.
Well, sure you are.
You are shaking right now.
So if
too.
I move over here, you're not going to come and
Why do
follow
you?
me? Is
Why
that
do
what
you
you're
think
saying?
Why do you think I'm shaking? Very nerve-wracking.
Hey, could I ask you your statement? Why is it important for you to...
No, you can't ask me.
Well, no, I just want to know.
No. No, I'm just sitting here.
Well, hey, it's
Of all the places
so
you
if I
just
move over
randomly
there-
came here.
If I move
Oh, he's
10
just
feet that way,
minding
you're
his
not going to
business.
follow
Let's
me?
go over here.
Yeah, there
no,
we go.
if he wants to
He's minding his
misbehave,
business.
if he wants to misbehave, we can move the conversation. That's fine.
Oh, I thought you were minding your business. How come you're moving?
Okay, so yeah, you don't believe that they can consent. Just to get us back on track here.
I just think it's like for children specifically, it's just like
No, that's all we're talking about. is
right.
children.
It's just too young. I think. Like I mean, I don't know. It's really hard because a lot of like parents seem to be pushing it at a certain level. I don't think that's like common, but I think there's like a small underlying like narcissism that kind of gets carried out for very specific cases where puberty blockers are kind of pushed on kids too young. Otherwise, I think it's just like a really weird time.
Excuse me, we're working on something.
Yeah,
Do you mind?
No,
Do you mind? You what?
Do mind.
You do mind?
Yeah.
I thought you were just minding your business.
Yeah.
I'm from I'm a trans refugee from West Virginia, y'all.
Yeah? What's
Y'all don't
trans
even
about
A refugee?
What's trans about you?
What is trans?
Yeah. What is, are you saying you're a trans person?
What is trans about me?
All right, let's should we move?
Oh, okay. No, we're getting a display here. How about that?
So, I'm just curious. Does a person like this actually think that what they're doing is effective? Getting in somebody's face, being argumentative, purposefully trying to stop an interview that's going on that is very cordial. These men aren't antagonizing the people who they're interviewing. They're having an actual conversation, and people are willing to talk with them. And here you have this trans person, this trans refugee, who is so upset at the idea of conversation that they have to try and disrupt it as much as possible. Be aggressive, be in your face, be volatile. Like, why? And I'm sorry, but if you're supposed to be portraying a woman, right, a trans woman, I don't know many women who act like that. That's a whole lot of testosterone going on. I said it. Chillax.
Because it feels like
Quick, I think you just shouldn't talk to them and ignore them because they're just pieces of who aren't gonna listen to
Well, that's not very nice nice of you to say.
it's because
Wait.
the that you promote ends up with people dying because of it.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Because
Okay, that's a
Let's-
big
let's
deal.
talk about that.
Let's discuss that.
Like because you promote like this hate towards people like me and other trans people, and trans people get murdered because of the hate against them. So it's not just like a free speech thing. It's
Do
that
you
you're
know what the murder rate
promoting-
of transgender people
Yeah,
is?
what do you?
Oh my God,
Let's talk about that data because that's a claim that you'd make, and I'd like to explore that with you.
Okay, well, you know what? Off. Just off. This you should be. This is
no.
harassment.
Okay, you
You're
made
making a
you made a
claim.
claim.
So
You
let's
made a
discuss
claim,
it.
and we'd like to.
I can't.
We'd like to.
You otherwise, but I'm just saying this should be considered.
Okay, so you have no evidence.
Wow. So you come to the conversation, you enter the conversation and get in front of the camera and the microphone to make your statement. And then when these gentlemen come back at you and ask you a question to refute what you just said, or they ask you for the data, like you're making a very big claim. You're making a huge claim that there's this huge influx of trans people unaliving themselves because of men like this who are just simply asking a question. And because you can't give the actual data or the statistics, you run away. And you say, you know what, I'm done. Why? Are we not having a conversation? How did I disrespect you? I am literally asking you a question after I let you speak. That's how a conversation works. You talk, and then I talk. We converse. we debate, we agree, we disagree. That's usually how it goes down. But you see, when a person runs away like this person just did, they're displaying the fact that they do not have an argument. See, their argument is based on feelings. And again, when you have a person with feelings confronting a person with facts, you quickly see how fast the feelings person crumbles and runs away because they knew that they did not have an argument. What are you so afraid of? If you truly believed that how you were living your life and what you were doing was so correct, wouldn't you invite conversation, especially with people who disagree with you? Because I know that if I have a strong argument and I have strong feelings about something and I have the data to back me up, I have no problem conversating with you. I have no problem debating you. I have no problem having a full-fledged conversation with you in depth because I know what I stand on is truth. But when you stand on emotions and you run away, it tells me that you are not so strong on your beliefs like you want us to believe. You run away and you try to find a safe space. And I'm sure in that college, there's plenty of spaces just for you to run to and cry.
So my mom is a 60s baby. Her brother is born in the 50s. When the whole idea or the whole embodiment of like the trans community first became like a thing, you needed to actually be diagnosed by a medical professional with gender dysmorphia. Like it was like a real thing, and it's like, you know what?
So they didn't go to Affirm, right? They didn't go when the kid came. They went to kind of explore.
And
it wasn't
like kids typically. It was, you know, like maybe 18, 19 and like up when you could make your own medical decisions for yourself.
So just so you know, I've been for more than 2.5 years now traveling around North America, having conversations just like this. I'm connected to lots of doctors and all the people kind of fighting this ideology. I've pretty much read all the major studies that there are to read. And I can't find evidence that suicides go up if we don't transition kids. Now, I know this is the #1 talking point, especially from the left. But there really isn't evidence for it. And we have this woman, her name's Laura Edwards Leeper. She worked at the Boston Children's Hospital Gender Clinic since 2006 when it opened. So for 15 years she worked there. She's quit now. But she wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post last year where even she admitted she's not aware of any epidemic of suicides.
Right. No, and I'm not saying there's an epidemic.
But when it comes to the suicidality thing, I do agree that, you know, these kids, they do have higher suicidal ideation.
Right.
And we need to help these children.
Because it stems from depression. I'm not saying there's an epidemic, but when you look at, you know, certain numbers of, you know, oh, this kid committed suicide, and then they look at the child's history, it's like, oh, well, they were having issues with gender conformity and stuff like that.
And this is what a productive conversation looks like. I gotta say, I am really impressed with this young woman. I like her a lot because although she may disagree with the guys that she's talking to, clearly she's engaging with them. She's willing to understand where they're coming from. They're trying to understand where she's coming from, and they're having an actual dialogue. And they're making her think about some stuff. Because I'm sure she's one of those people that was pretty big on the whole unaliving epidemic that the left loves to push on when it comes to why kids should be allowed to transition at an early age. And like he said, there is no data that actually proves that kids are more susceptible to want to kill themselves because of this. That is a manipulation tactic, in my opinion, that the gender ideology cult loves to pull on and grab on in order to manipulate parents into pushing their children to get transitioned. You'll hear things like, oh, do you want a dead son or do you want a happy daughter? And you're saying this to parents who are not understanding what's happening. They're not going to a doctor who's trying to treat their child. They're going to a doctor who's trying to affirm their child. And that is a huge difference. Affirming and treating are two different things. Two different things. See, because treating a child entails you being objective as a doctor, not trying to make the patient happy, but trying to find a way to help the child be healthy. And instead, what we have is an influx of doctors who are bending over backwards, doing backflips to try and make the trans child feel as comfortable and as happy as possible. And whatever I can do for you as a doctor, I'll do it. I'll write whatever prescription you need, and I will co-sign whatever it is that you need me to do to make you happy. I don't know. I think handling any type of condition in that manner is a problem. Because again, and I've used this analogy before, if a person with body dysmorphia sees a doctor and they tell the doctor at, I don't know, 120 pounds that they feel like a 300-pound person and they want to have gastric bypass surgery, is that doctor going to schedule that patient to have gastric bypass? No. Because the doctor knows that that patient has body dysmorphia. They have an actual condition and they need to treat the condition, not affirm the patient. But for some odd reason, when it comes to gender ideology, and I'm not quite sure why this happens or why we've come to this place, because it used to be where you would treat. Now it's just affirm, 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 affirm. That's it. Just affirm. Make the patient happy. And this is the only medical condition that I can think of where a doctor's job is not to treat, first and foremost, but to affirm. First and foremost. If you're someone like me who is always online surfing the web, downloading videos, using streaming services, then this offer is up your alley. Listen closely. You need protection. And I got just a thing for you. I've been using ExpressVPN for the last 3 years to protect my IP address when I'm online. It allows me to surf the web safely without fear of hackers or anyone getting into my system. It's very simple. You just pick a location anywhere in the world, click connect, and you're now secure. Your IP address is hidden and protected. One of my favorite perks is being able to stream TV shows from other countries like Australia, or to watch Netflix from other countries' locations that has shows that are not available here in the States. And ExpressVPN was kind enough to give my subscribers a special deal. If you sign up today, you get the first 3 months for free. The link is in my description, expressvpn.com/CurlyBoyChuck. Follow the link, is going to be in my description, and get you 3 months for free using my link and my code. I got you.
We have all of these identities that come along with being a man and a woman that society follows. That is gender ideology. Having any sort of things that have to come along with having, like being a man or a woman, is gender ideology.
Well, my position is that nothing should have to come along with that. That there's no right way to be a boy or girl, a man or a woman. That's my position.
There's no right way.
There's no right way to be a boy or girl.
Okay.
There's no specific,
I'm saying that
kind of follow up with
there's no right way to be a boy or
female.
girl.
Then I think being a boy and a girl, you're saying how it's fluid, and so that means anyone could be anything that they want. So if someone was born a female with, like, you know how there's like the male and female when you're born.
Okay.
If someone decides, oh, you know, if they decide to transition, that's the fluidity of it.
Can I address that?
You're welcome to.
Sure. So, if a girl is more masculine, if she wants short hair and wants to wear pants and climb trees.
I'm going to just call him the mental case. I'm sorry. But here you have them trying to have a conversation, and actually was getting pretty good. And then the mental case starts singing and acting crazy to stop the conversation from happening. Why? Because they saw that the conversation was actually going somewhere, and they were scared of that. Let's all sing and distract.
It's a really good article by a woman named Jamie Reed, and if you want, you can DM me on Twitter and I can send it to you or whatever. But this woman worked at the Washington University Transgender Clinic in St. Louis for the last 4 years, and she just wrote this piece in the Free Press, and she submitted an affidavit to the Missouri Attorney General. And almost all of these kids, virtually all of them, have some other mental health comorbidities going on. There might have been abuse, there might have been trauma, there might have been sexual abuse. A lot of these girls and boys who've been sexually abused. I'll talk to you after.
I'm Lucifer, by the way.
All right, good stuff. Like girls who've been sexually abused, for example, this is the biggest trauma they've ever had in their life. They don't want to be a girl because that's, for them, the source of this abuse. And now you have this ideology coming along saying, well, you can just identify out of your sex. But these therapists and everything today, doctors at these gender clinics, they're not screening for trauma or abuse. They're not treating other mental health comorbidities. They just go straight to gender as though it's the underlying problem.
And to affirm, right? To immediately affirm. It's not to, like you said, with your mom born in the 60s. I'm older than Chris is. My name's Peter. I was born in 1966. And I've seen the changes and the process that they used to undergo. You have to have years of intensive, like what you started with the discussion about therapy. But the starting point was not, yes, you're correct, you were born in the wrong body. The starting point was, let's therapeutically explore this and have a conversation about it, and I will work with you and we will figure this out together. That's no longer the starting point.
Wow, that segment right there was, I think, the most powerful segment that I've watched in a very long time, because they're getting to the root of the issue. And like I said earlier, doctors today are no longer trying to treat the condition. Their job is now to just affirm. And like he said, instead of doctors looking back to see, okay, how did we get here? Let's test for trauma. Let's test for other comorbidities that may have brought you to this place. Instead, it's, oh, you think you're trans? Okay, great. Let's affirm this and figure it out for you so you can live your best trans life. And that's it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What about all the other layers of the person that led them to this place? We know that less than 2% of the population has gender dysphoria. So if a person is coming to you with this condition, shouldn't you as a doctor be responsible enough to look back into the patient's history to try to figure out how they got here? Because maybe there's something else going on, and the dysphoria is just a symptom of a much bigger problem. But it's like, to say that is now, in today's day and age, politically incorrect. There may be countless people who are living their lives under the umbrella of trans, and maybe something else is going on. And as a doctor, you're doing more harm to that patient than good. But as I said before in other videos, doctors make a whole lot of money from gender transitions, from HRTs, from top and bottom surgeries. It's a money-making machine. So are these doctors really interested in finding a solution or treating a chronic problem that's going to allow them and ensure that they are continuously getting paid? Because when a person transitions and they need estrogen, that trans woman is always going to need estrogen. Always. For the rest of their lives. And from a doctor's perspective, ka-ching, 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 every time they come back.
What I'm saying
this gang
is,
of white dudes ganging up on people, like, just they're like, oh, tell us.
what you're saying is, if a woman, if someone who
We're trying to understand what she's saying.
You're not trying to understand you're gaslighting people and you're trying to get for your channel. Like, it's all just the same.
We're literally having conversations.
How much y'all make off this?
You're
Y'all make a lot of money.
You're actually helping me a lot, so please continue doing exactly what you're doing.
I'd actually prefer to get conversations over somebody misbehaving, to be honest with you. I'd prefer to get what you have to say. Really quick, how do you feel about this behavior, what Peter's saying?
This behavior, I mean, I can't say that my first reaction wasn't very similar. Or wouldn't have been similar.
So why are you not doing this and actually trying to have a conversation?
Because I believe that conversating does create a more constructive kind of argument, and like more people can learn things. My 2 cents on the matter is
please.
If because of how gender is in society and how important it is for some people don't feel comfortable being, you know, with the gender that they're assigned at birth. Obviously. I think it's really important to let people identify the way that they want to, especially considering the weight that some of these identities have on certain people.
In this conversation, we're really focusing on children, how children cannot consent to puberty blockers.
It's more about the medical
when it comes to the medical side of things. Also, you know, we're not out here talking about adults or anything like that.
Okay. No, it's strictly not adults.
Yeah,
it's children.
We're talking about children
and the medical
on
stuff.
the sign.
Right. So no matter what comes of like these conversations today, first of all, I really appreciate you having one.
Yeah.
Because I think with such an important issue where kids are being harmed, we should be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
But it seems we're not allowed to. You know? And we're talking about stopping the development of children.
Yeah.
And we can't talk about this and look at all the evidence?
I mean, we're talking about that. We're talking about cross-sex hormones, and then we're talking about surgical procedures for these children. So I guess, like, really going back to it, you know, we're talking about the worry of suicide or suicidality. Is affirming and going down that path really the answer for a child when their gender dysphoria could desist?
Yeah. So I don't have any kids. I have nieces and nephews that I care dearly about. So I can't say from like a parent's perspective. I can say though, and I have to get to class after this, but I can say though that I do believe that growth on both sides, from your side of the aisle and other people's side of the aisle, it stops when we can't have these conversations,
100%.
whether we agree or not.
Thoughts on that? Any happy medium there?
See how they're trapping you?
What do you think?
They're leading you down a hole.
So
it's called a conversation.
You're not having a
as someone who
you're not.
As someone who was a child and didn't feel the need to be on puberty blockers, I don't feel like I have a place to say like how that might feel for a child who wants to get puberty blockers or that decision as well. As someone who also like isn't a father either, you know, like I'm 18. Yeah, that's my.
Why not wait till 18, 25?
I have no opinion on that.
Okay, so a couple of things about this segment. So number one, I appreciate that young lady once again because she was willing to have the conversation. The trans refugee who keeps interrupting and acting a fool. I mean, it's just sad, you know? Like, this person wants attention. This person can't handle truth. They can't handle fact. They can't handle conversation. They can't handle confrontation. And it's probably because they've been affirmed their entire life, especially by doctors. And as for the other guy who said, I can't really have an opinion on puberty blockers for kids because I'm not a kid myself. I don't have any kids. That to me is a cop-out. That is a cop-out because you still have a rational mind. And it doesn't take being a parent to understand that putting children on puberty blockers and chemically castrating them and making permanent decisions on their physical attributes that they cannot reverse and undo once it's done. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at that and to say, you know what, maybe something is a bit off here. An adult doing it is one thing, but a child.
What does it mean to be trans?
What does it mean to be trans?
I don't know. I've never
He's asking you.
can get an answer to that question.
I'm asking you.
Well, you just claimed you're trans.
I am trans.
And I'm asking you what that means.
What does it mean to you?
Well, I would tell you that transition is something
Well, don't
you do.
tell me. Wait, you don't tell anybody.
Okay, well, you asked what it means.
You literally just asked us to tell you what it means.
Transition is something
I'm
you
not
do,
asking
it's
you to
not
tell
something
me
you
what it
are.
means.
Well, no, you have the opportunity here to like educate a couple 100,000 people online about what it means to be trans.
Educate people online.
Educate people online about what?
Well,
why are you
what it is that
blocking
makes you trans.
this? Why are you blocking it? Why are you here? What message do you want to give people?
Okay, here's the message.
We're listening.
Y'all are a bunch of fascists using
Also.
transgender medicine as a spearhead for your fascist takeover of the country because you're patriarchal white supremacists, and this is just what it is, and y'all know what it is.
Why are we're white supremacists? What is your evidence for even saying that, besides just being a jerk to us?
White, right?
You're white.
And like white supremacy,
Are you a white
the
supremacist?
tip of the spear of white supremacy is anti-transgender
Oh.
discourse, right?
Oh my god, my head. This is just sad. At this point, it's just sad. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here. There are a couple of more minutes left of the video, so if you want to see the full video in its entirety, I'm going to have a link in my description so you guys can go ahead and support the creator and also watch the full video. I think he is going to do a part 2, so I probably will react to part 2 as well when that comes out. But yeah, this is a great video to watch. Predominantly, it was very productive, which makes me really happy because I'm not trying to react to videos where people are just acting crazy. I like to see real dialogue because it encourages conversation. And so it's great to see, even though there was one disruptor in the video, but you know what? They didn't get to win because the conversation was still had. If you enjoy my content, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit my notification bell so you know when I post a new video. If you guys have any video ideas for me that you want me to react to or look at, definitely hit me up on Instagram and on TikTok under CurlyBoyChuck, and I will take a look and possibly react to your videos. Until next time, peace.